With all the noise surrounding Disney's live-action Snow White remake, from Rachel Zegler's much-memed comments to the debates over the Seven Dwarfs, it was a little hard not to come into this one without some kind of hesitation. Still, just like how I approach most films, I tried to leave all that at the door and enter this one ready to judge it on its own terms. And to be fair, I didn't find it to be the all-out disaster that many were predicting. But that doesn't mean it's good. Far from it. There is an awkwardness baked into a lot of this film. You can feel the tug of war between different versions. It's like a movie caught in mid-pivot. It never quite catches its footing. At times, it's hard to tell whether what's on screen is the result of last-minute reshoots or just a confused script. Either way, the finished product plays out like an oddly stitched-together patchwork that never really comes to life. In the preview screening I attended, which had a lot of families, the kids were mostly quiet, and not in a good way. And on the way out of the movie, I heard more than one parent talk about how their child had fallen asleep. That probably says a lot. I thought Rachel Zegler was actually quite solid in the role, bringing enough charm and a good singing voice to this new version of Snow White. Whatever your feelings about Zegler's off-screen remarks, I actually thought that she was quite good here. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Gal Gadot, whose evil queen never quite works. It looks like she's aiming for a performance that's kind of camp, but lands somewhere between awkward and oddly flat. Her scenes often feel stiff, and the sense of menace just isn't there. One of the strange things about this Snow White is how it handles its supporting characters. The film juggles two groups, dwarves, or magical beings, or whatever they decided to call them, and bandits. Neither of these groups fits comfortably into the story. It's hard not to wonder whether this was the result of production chaos, with Disney scrambling to balance early ideas with last-minute course corrections. But whatever the reason, I don't know if we'll ever know, the film feels disjointed. Visually, the film struggles too. Some moments have a nice enough storybook quality, but much of the CGI is glaringly artificial. There are scenes and lighting that are just so drenched in digital effects that they lose any sense of physicality. Which brings me to these dwarves. These characters sit firmly in the uncanny valley. They look too human to be charmingly animated and too animated to pass as anything kind of human. Basically, they're just unsettling to look at. If they were going the CG route, just make them look way more cartoony. As for the songs, I thought they were serviceable in a safe, if forgettable, modern Disney kind of way. For me, Waiting on a Wish is probably the standout among the new tunes, even if it does kind of feel like they just took it from the Moana soundtrack. In the end, Snow White isn't the total train wreck that many had feared or hoped for, depending on your stance, but it is messy, dull, and often lifeless. And yeah, it's another live-action Disney remake that leaves you wondering why they even bothered. It's not the worst of the bunch, but it's nowhere near the fairest of them all. I'm giving Snow White 2 stars out of 5.